Hi, I'm Anna Hoffman, and welcome back to Data Exposed. Today, I'm joined by Drew. Again, Drew, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Hey Anna, thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure. And more recently, you came on and talked to us about database DevOps and especially all the enhancements and investments we're making in SSMS for managing your database projects. Now, maybe the next phase of this is talking about pipelines, but I'd love kind of get your take on what's the scenario and why would someone use Azure DevOps pipelines if they've never used them before with their SQL databases?
Yeah, so when we talked last time, we introduced SQL projects in SSMS as the database DevOps workload. And as the name suggests, it is part of this broader database DevOps continuum of how you manage and deploy database changes. So we set ourselves up for source control. And now the next kind of door that we open is using automation through Azure DevOps pipelines. That's what they give us, is the ability to automate a process.
Okay, cool. So how does it work?
Yeah, so with the Azure DevOps pipelines, we're going to define that process as a YAML file. And we get to pick either from these pre-built tasks, or we can write specific script steps. So if I know PowerShell commands or bash scripts, or even just .NET CLI type things, we can build that process right out of that.
Okay, nice. So this is like in addition to my pre or post deployment scripts as I actually apply it automatically?
Yeah, that's exactly kind of we're building around the SQL project gives us the ability from SSMS to build and deploy. And both of those things are steps that we can add to run automatically within a pipeline, but we can do additional things. And at the same time, we think about when I'm writing or working with a database in SSMS or VS Code and I hit build, that gives me the conviction that I know that this code is good, that the syntax is valid. So then I'll check it into source control. It's a little bit of a trust but verify thing. Maybe I want to make sure that everybody on my team has good, valid code before it gets merged in through a pull request. So I might use an automated build in a pipeline to make sure, yes, this code is correct. We are willing to check it in versus, oh, we check something in and, huh, invalid T-SQLs managed to sneak in there. You don't want those kinds of situations.
Got it. I love it. That makes a ton of sense. Okay, cool. Let's take a look.
Yeah, I'm going to show starting from SSMS, just I've got a database. It's an Azure SQL database. And then I've got a folder open in SSMS here with a pipelines folder. And the solution file has the SQL project in it. So I've kind of got this world that we set up in the last video where I've got a project and I've got a database, and now I want some kind of life cycle around it. There's a couple pipelines here, but today I'm going to focus on two of them. One is the ability to run a deployment based on the code that's in source control. And the other is just that kind of build time check that I want to have. But I'm going to step over into the Azure DevOps interface, get us a little bit out of our comfort zone in SSMS, because this is where you can kind of start to create and build right from Azure DevOps. The pipelines group here gives us the ability to create a new pipeline. And that's really what I did to create the CI build pipeline. I'm going to open it up in edit mode so we can look at the YAML. It's a little bit dry, shall we say, in that it's not incredibly exciting. The template comes with these steps here that I'll uncomment for the moment, where they're running script steps. So running hello world or multiple echoes, which is repeating something back out. This is the building block or building blocks for a lot of pipelines. But I had commented those out and replaced them with another step. And I used the tasks pane here to use the .NET Core CLI. It's a little bit of a shortcut to use tasks, and not at all in the bad way. In the when you know you want to use something, use the tools available to you, and these tasks are great for that. And one nice thing about them is they wrap a little bit of a GUI around the inputs that you want to have. So if I hover over settings here and click on it, I get some options. It's a nice text box. If I'm not super comfortable editing the YAML directly, this will help me out. And in this case, I'm doing a .NET build of the SQL project. This is just like if I were to go into SSMS, right click, build. That is very, very, very much the same as if I were to hit run on this pipeline. It's going to pull the code out of the main repository that I've got checked in here. And it's going to run that very same build that just ran in SSMS with the output of that DACPack build artifact. Where it grabs the code, that's the checkout step, is it's grabbing the code, and then the .NET Core CLI is running the build. This isn't terribly exciting, I'm not gonna lie, but this is like that foundational building block of now I'm sure that my project builds. We've got a warning that, hey, there's a new version of the SDK available, so if I'm looking for new syntax, that kind of thing, I might wanna update that, but it's a warning. I can ignore it for now. I'm comfortable with that. There's our first building block.
Nice. That feels straightforward enough. And I'm starting to see like how this could actually be really valuable because now I'm putting a check into my system versus just like a ad hoc check from a user.
Yeah. Now, at the risk of being too boring, we are gonna make a quick change to this pipeline because in all of the options that we have, there's the ability to pass additional arguments to build. In SSMS, we would go into project settings and modify things around, but that writes it to the SQL project file. I just want to make sure that this pipeline does things specifically. So in this case, I'm going to add the property for run SQL code analysis. And I'm going to set that to true. So every time this pipeline runs, it's going to run build, but it's also going to run it with the code analysis in place. This is a nice way to open up the door to conversation in my organization around code quality or what are the standards that we want to have. It at this point, I haven't done anything super fancy. I don't even have main branch protections on yet
Mhm.
because we're getting started. But this opens that door to saying, well, what if we believe that as a part of making sure our code builds and is valid, that it also has a certain level of quality to it, or we're at least getting that feedback that starts conversations during pull request reviews. And so in this case, when the build runs, we're going to get some warnings about the syntax in the SQL project, not only the SDK version, but we'll also see there might be identity, scope identity issues, or yeah, there we go. There's special characters in the database version, as well as the use of at identity. These are things that are just
Mhm.
being flagged for me. And I don't have to remember to run it locally. Now it's going to run automated for me. Now we're getting somewhere. Now we're starting to like cook a little bit with our
Yeah.
pipelines and it can get fun quickly. However, it's called DevOps. We can't have too much fun without having some reality to there are operational constraints to how we work. And so instead of going ham wild today on building fancy pipelines, I wanted to address some of the challenges to doing deployments, period. I have an Azure SQL database, and in that database, it's hosted in a server that does not have wide open access. If I look at the networking here, public network access is disabled except for selected networks. It is not open to all of Azure. That might be the case for specific development environments, but we really want to avoid that for environments that have any resemblance of real data in them.
Mhm.
And we can use these ad hoc firewall rules. I have one right now for SSMS, because this is a database that we have access to here, but that's it. There's nothing else. It's not wide open. There's no like magic secret tunnel going on. It's well locked down. The other thing that's going on with this database is that there's Entra set up. So
Mm.
we have not just SQL auth, we could have SQL auth completely disabled, or we could be only using it for very specific privileged things. And I want to avoid using SQL auth for deployments. That's really not a great use case for it.
Yeah,
So
makes a ton of sense. I think, like, the obvious next question, which is probably exactly where you're going, is like, okay, but how is a pipeline gonna know what my firewall how's it gonna set a firewall rule, and how am I gonna use Entra when it's a pipeline? It's not me.
yeah, because it definitely shouldn't be you doing deployments to prod or even elevated staging environments. Just because the publish button is here in SSMS doesn't necessarily mean that it provides you with the logging and auditability of an automated process. And so that's where Azure DevOps has some constructs to help us. The first one is I've gone into project settings and then down to service connections. And I have a service connection that I added for the Azure subscription. And I can scope it to resource groups and enable it as a managed identity in Azure. This is effectively saying this pipeline can become a user. It's a little bit abstract. It's a lot abstract, let's be honest. But what we're saying is this automated environment can log into Azure. And then we can provide it with the right permissions that it needs to do specific things. So I'm not going to make it a subscription admin. That's way too far. But I can give it specific resource group or even specific object in Azure permissions to do things like modify firewall rules. So if
Nice.
I hop back to my pipeline views, I'm going to take a look real quick at this ad hoc deploy. Now, this pipeline is quite a bit longer because it's going to do a number of things to kind of walk us through that process. So the first one that we've already seen is the .NET Core CLI building that project. We're not going to do anything. We're not going to touch networking or anything until we're positive that we do have code that works. It should, but we always trust but verify. And then the other thing that we're going to do is we're going to get a CLI called SQL package. SQL package gives us the ability to do a deployment, a publish like we do from SSMS or VS Code, but from an automated environment like this. That's the setup that we need. The other thing that I want to do from a auditability standpoint or kind of tracking standpoint, if something's gone wrong, how do I find out where it went wrong, is every pipeline run is going to have a specific firewall rule name that it's creating, and it's not reused. So we're using environment variables within each execution of this pipeline to say it's associated with this specific run. So if I
Oh,
run this
smart.
pipeline
Mhm.
now and then I run it tomorrow, I'm going to be able to tell which one left the firewall rule hanging somehow. These kinds of things are super important to be able to track back. And then I also need to find out where I'm calling from. So this is a quick little expression where it's calling to an IP info service and then also saving that. So now I have a firewall rule name and an IP address. I'm ready to create a firewall rule. Like that's the same kind of thing that I would be
Great.
input here, but instead we're going to use Azure PowerShell. This is that service connection, Contoso Azure. So I'm saying I'm going to connect as this pipeline to Azure, and then I will use that new Azure SQL command is new dash, this command itself is not actually new, command to create a firewall rule. Because we know the name of it, at the very end of this pipeline, skipping all the fun stuff for a moment, I am always going to try to remove the firewall rule. Even if
Makes
my
sense.
deployment
Yeah.
fails, always remove it. Networking is super exciting because
Super
it's so
important.
important. Exactly, exactly. There's there's another potential solution to this firewall problem that involves deploying your own runner environment and not using the shared ones. That's, it's more complicated than maybe you want to start with. It could absolutely be a requirement of your environment. If you're only within a VNet with absolutely no public access, that's definitely a potential solution. But this firewall rule add and remove gives you a really nice way to navigate that environment while keeping it secure using that pipeline's identity.
Cool. Awesome. Well, Drew, I learned a lot. I feel like you gave us a really great intro on to using pipelines, going from SSMS, where I've just started doing database DevOps maybe and getting into the automation space, totally understand the value, how to get started, and then how to start tackling some of those Azure SQL database specific things to make sure I'm doing this in a secure way. So, Drew, thanks so much for coming on the show. If you like this episode, viewers, we'll put a link in the description for you to learn more. Leave us a comment and let us know how you're using Azure DevOps today or what you learned in this episode. And we hope to see you next time on Data Exposed.